Hey everyone, quick little announcement here from Fishing the DMV. Our club membership on Patreon is nearly full. There are only I'll repeat, 4 membership spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and I'll be closing down the club membership to new members until 2026. At that point, you can try to sign up, but it'll be at a higher rate. All Patreon members will receive 5% off their orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off their orders to Catoctin Creek Rods. You'll also gain access to our private Facebook group community. You'll also be allowed to enter our 5 club membership tournaments only with guarantee payouts. Members only content, ad-free, commercial-free episodes of the podcast, Patreon supporter giveaways, and so much more. And you get all of this for $6 a month, which is less than a pack of Cincos or a jackhammer chatterbait. And since we're under our 10 membership spot, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to give everyone a 10% off their membership if they sign up for the year. So that brings it down to under $65 a year, locked in indefinitely as long as you want to be a member. Hurry up because there's only so many spots left before I shut down the club to any new members until 2026.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing this afternoon? We got a special double feature for you. Schedule's getting so crazy here with the Labor Day or Memorial Day weekend coming up that I thought I was going to do a double dip next Monday, but I don't think that's a good idea. So we're doing it today. This evening for Monday Night Live, we have Ethan Stone talking about the New River. And then I have this guy on who is having a hell of a year fishing with the Steve Camps tournament trails. And he's got a cool little tournament deal that he's going to be putting on later this year that he'll be talking about later on. So without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend. Blake, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
What's going on, man?
Dude, you have had a year, man.
It's been something. It's been pretty fun. Yeah, definitely been fun.
Yeah, and we're talking a little bit beforehand, and I thought, like, you know what, this is a great conversation. We might as well just go live and talk about it. But I think where we left off was with the scope stuff, and yeah, like I don't mind fishing scope events. I want to get better at it. I need to learn how to get better at it. It's just interesting that I feel like social media really makes you believe every single event out there is always one with scope. And when I talk with people and then the event like I just had this past weekend, it's like, that's not necessarily true. Maybe it's the 1%ers, but when you trickle down to regional, state, local level, like you can still cash checks off the bank.
There's plenty of money being made with scope today. And there's plenty of guys that are really good at it. But the fact of the matter is, unless you're like, we're not fishing at a national level. You got to be proficient with it, though, to be consistent. I mean, it's worked out for me this year on the alphas. The scope has been a player, but it hasn't been dominant. But like I've used it plenty this year. I bombed at Anna, and that was a straight up scope derb in the team tournament. And that's really the only tournament where I completely locked into it, and it didn't work well. I probably should have just gone to the mud and thrown a spinnerbait, but hey, yeah, I mean, but that being said, then at Smith Mountain, I caught my biggest one. It was on a bed, but I was using scope. So,
what do you think of Smith Mountain Lake right now? Have you been watching at all what they're doing there with the heavy hitters?
I caught bits and pieces of it. Looked like there were some guys on some herring spawn stuff, which it's kind of a bummer that that's getting exposed because that's been talked about, but people around here, there's plenty that do understand it, but there's plenty that are like, yeah, I know there's herring in here, but I don't catch them. And frankly, like I've only seen it there. I saw it this year for the first time and on that lake, and I figured out a few things with it. And but now it's going to be completely exposed. And I'm sure that's how every tournament that has a herring spawn going on for the next 5-6 years there is going to be one.
I mean, is it shocking? Like this was going to come out eventually. And I mean, it's a herring spawn. I mean, there's lakes all over the country kind of have the same thing. It's just now busting open like, oh, this exists on Smith.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of guys knew about it. The herring spawn's just so different from the typical shad spawn that, like, it's the same concept, but it happens in a totally different place from my experience. And,
yeah. Are you saying like a herring spawn at Smith is different than a herring spawn at Lake Murray or Hartwell?
No,
okay,
no.
okay, gotcha. Yeah.
No, it's just, the guys that have been fishing the shad spawn around here for 20, 30 years, the shad spawn's still great. So there's kind of no reason to go looking for the herring spawn until you realize what the potential is. I mean, I saw some of the biggest fish I've ever seen in my life on a calm day, just swimming around up there practicing this year. And I was like, I have no idea how to catch these fish because the herring aren't up here right now, but holy crap, if I can figure it out. And I mean, I dumped one at the end of that tournament that it probably wouldn't have won me the tournament, but it would have been, I'd have scared it at least. And that was literally just like, all right, I got 10 minutes left. Let me pull up where I saw a bunch of them and see if I can figure out how to get them to bite. And I got 3 to bite and broke one off, caught one that didn't help and dumped a big one.
It sounds dumb, but what is your approach to a tournament? Is it swinging for the fence or just trying to have a solid finish? And an example I go back on is like this tournament I had. I could have tried to do what everyone else did to potentially do the quote unquote win, which was scope, go to this part of the lake. That's where the big ones are. And I was like, I don't have it. I'm just going to do this because I think I can have a solid finish. And I pretty much had it to myself, and I ended up winning doing that, just looking for a solid finish versus chasing what is the prototypical norm for that lake. What do you do going into an event?
I've taken a long time, like trying different things in practice and trying to figure out, and I'm no expert by any means. I've had my bombs this year, but I've kind of figured out for me, like I just need to figure out go through my process. And if I think I can win it somewhere, go do that. And then if I don't have anything where I'm like, I can win the tournament here, which, is a lot of the time, go where I think the best potential is to just have a good tournament. Like, don't say, screw it, I'm making the 80-mile run, even though I only caught one there and it was 5 pounds. Like, I've done that, and that's how you end up with the 70th place finishes. And I used to have the mindset of like, well, 20th and 70th pay the same. But at the end of the day, like if you catch that 20th place bag and then get lucky, first call it luck. It's not luck, but call it luck and catch a 4 or 5 pounder. All of a sudden you're sliding that check line. And yeah.
Because so much of it is, I did this on the post Saturday, but when it's your time, it's your time. Like to win, it doesn't just mean that you just found a good amount of fish. It means you don't break one off. You don't lose one. Like all this other shit has to go right. And so at that point, I've just kind of personally been like, you know what? I'm not worrying necessarily about that in that sense. Like I'm going to do the best I can, but I don't peg on winning because I know it's like, that's just going to be one of them special days. And you're going to know when you're in it that it's happening.
But now that you got one, don't you want another one so bad?
Oh God, yeah, I do. And I think that's
so addicting.
It's so addicting. And it's that feeling almost in the day. Like, I don't know how to explain that, where if you've played baseball and you have a perfect game or something like that going on, and there's that vibe of like, this is a thing I'm experiencing right now. That's the cool feeling, not the award ceremony, but the day where every cast works, everything you're doing. It's just, you can call your shot. That's the coolest feeling of all.
And looking back at it, like, you're sitting there running through every fish catch when you're, unpacking the boat or laying in bed or whatever. And you're like, man, that one should have come off, but it didn't. Like, yeah. I'm going through the GoPro footage now. I think I caught like 20, which was insane for this lily pad field I found, that I could just keep recycling it. And I had the water. No one else came in. And I've had a couple of fish that should have come off and didn't. And the one I missed, and we talked about this on the live stream last night, I started out with a regular swim jig because it was a 5/16. It was the lightest one I had. And I bent the hook straight on a fish that was over 6 pounds. And that was so dumb. I should not have used it, but then that didn't kill my day. Any other day, that was the fish that lost it and you're drinking hard. Nope. Yeah. I switch out to the other jig and eventually I catch another one. And it was at that point, it's like, dude, what the hell's going on today? Like that usually doesn't happen to most people, but it does when it's your time. I didn't catch your live stream. Did you have them all early?
It was weird. I had a huge flurry early, and then I caught about 2 to 3 per hour the rest of the day. And that's really what helped me, is because everyone's live scope bite died around, I think, like 10:30, 11. And I was still just catching, because it was a lily pad field. Like eventually I just found a new section and they hit it. But yeah, and it was only about 1.5 inches that I won by at that point.
It was best 5, right?
It was your best 5, yeah. And you got to pick between 5 lakes. And I picked the shittiest lake out of them. Mooney is the one that everyone's catching 10-pounders out of, but Mooney 100% live scope. There is no cover on the bank, nothing. There's herring and shad, and everyone scopes. It's like Aquacorn Reservoir. And so I picked this lake because it has a shit ton of just shallow water cover. And I thought I could just cash a check. And, turns out that mindset proved right because everybody went to Mooney and I pretty much had the lake to myself. So
you turned a B spot into an A spot.
It's just, and that's, again, it's such an interesting thing about when you look at Albemarle Sound, when people go there for the Elite Series and everyone runs away. And
we were there Saturday.
Yeah. And when the Bassmasters were there, everybody ran all over God's earth, and the guy that wins it could have trolling motored to his spot. Like, it's interesting was that his A spot, or would locals consider that like a B kind of strategy that he turned into an A?
So that's a known area, obviously not to the pros, but like to the guys that have been down there a lot, like they were pissed to see him doing that. But I remember on the first day, he said, yeah, I had one big one I wanted to start on. And then I figured I'm going to stay here and give myself a chance to suck close. Those were his words. He's like, I didn't want to make the run if I didn't have to. So if I'm going to suck, I'm going to try and suck close. He didn't suck.
So in his mind, that was a B spot. Interesting.
I mean, he said he had one big one to go to, and then it kind of just kept developing. Like,
interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's fascinating because there's always this culture on fishing about fishing to win and swinging for the fence. But the people that try to chop wood, like you did this year, you're in AOI contention. And I think that's so unique that you have the norm of just swing for the fence, but then the people that are just willing to just keep hacking, all of a sudden they're always in the top 10. It's weird. They have a good season.
But that being said, like if you have a spot where you're like, it's going down here and I think I can win, you should absolutely go there. Like I didn't win that tournament, but I can think of a few years ago, I got third on the Potomac, and like we literally thought we could win the tournament where we started, and we pulled in there and it was going down. We just got beat is all, but like it was a small spot. We had a bad boat number. We could easily been beat there, and yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah, boat number. But then, like you said, like that's the variable of like when it's your time that you get the right boat number, you get there, and I mean that's a whole other deal. Do you think your strategy, mindset, whatever you want to call it, this year was different than previous years? Was there any adjustments you made going into it?
The biggest thing I can pick up on, and I'm trying to replicate throughout the alphas, is like bugs. I was on an okay bite. That was the first alpha of the year, and I've never been good during the pre-spawn, and it was still very much a pre-spawn tournament. And I had a very average bite going, like a few bites here, a few bites there. Yeah, maybe I can catch 11 pounds. But I wasn't getting a lot of bites, and I was going all the way down to Nutbush. And I was like, well, let me just stop at this spot up here that I didn't even practice anywhere near. I was like, I've caught fish here in the past. Maybe I can catch a couple quick on the morning bite before running and the sun's high by the time I get down there. And I pulled in there and ended up catching 3 keepers out of there and 2 that I ended up weighing in. And I was like, this is a great way to start the day. And then I'm running down the lake and I was like, oh, there's this spot over here. Let me pull in and hit that, and just kind of literally turned the boat 90 degrees and went in there and caught my second biggest one, and 2 more keepers and cold ones out of there. And so I'm leaving there with a limit, and I'm like, all I got to do is go down the lake where I was getting better than average bites and catch like 2, and I'm right in contention. And I caught one that helped, and it was a 4.5 pounder, and I got the last check. But like, I wasn't really on anything, and I kind of just trusted that, like, well, let me try this and just give it a sample. And then when I got a bite, I was like, well, let me keep expanding it. Like, just kind of listening to what the fish are doing. Smith Mountain was kind of my wheelhouse, so I was looking at them all. And so I love that. And I had a pretty bad boat number there too. And I had one that was like dummy locked. I think it ended up being a 3.5, but it was in like an inch of water. Like the day before, they had drawn some water out and its fin was out of the water and it was still eating every flip. And it was in a community hole. I knew everybody was going to see it. And so I was like, screw it. I'm like boat 35. I'm just going to hold the foot to the floor and try and get there first. I passed a dude on the way there who ended up pulling in behind me. And I ended up catching that fish. And then I was like, well, there's nobody else over here. Let me just snag these two that were also easy, even though they're small. You know, you never know. I might need them. So I catch those and I leave there with 3 fish. And I go over to where I had seen a billion boats the day before, but I'd also seen the one that ended up being like a 7-pound 14 or 13 ounce, or no, I don't know, 7 3/4, whatever, one big fish. I had seen it the day before, but there, like I said, there was 100 boats in there, and I was like, I need to go to where I have easy ones, you know. And I pull in there, and there wasn't a boat in sight. I go over to the bed, and she's still sitting there. The male's still sitting there. I ended up catching both of those. I ended up going across, catching a couple more, filling my limit out of there. Like, boats started rolling in behind me after that, but I don't know if nobody saw that big one or everybody assumed that someone else was going to go to it first, but I kind of feel like I got lucky there too. And, but like, I wouldn't say I did anything different there. And then this one at the sound was just like, I don't know what I did. I literally had one of the worst practices I've had in years. I didn't catch a fish over 2 pounds, and I didn't catch a fish. We had like an afternoon practice on Thursday. After 12 o'clock, we were allowed to be on the water. I did not catch a bass that day. I didn't get a bite from a bass that day. Hell, the weekend before I had a croaker hit my frog. I didn't catch it, but like that's awesome. I just was on nothing. Right. And so then Friday I ran a bunch of stuff. I burned 40 gallons of gas on Friday, put in at 2 different ramps, like still just, I think I had like 9 pounds, and that was fishing from 6 to 7:30. So like I'm on nothing, and I was like, screw it. They're calling for giant winds and waves, and all these guys are going to beat their boat up. And I'm sure it's going to be crowded in here, but I'm going to start right next to the ramp, and I'm not leaving here till I catch 5. Cause I did catch a 5-pounder the weekend before, but it was 60 miles away in 3 and 5 footers. Like, I didn't ever go out to see how big they were, but I saw everybody's boats when they came back, and they were all either filled with water or broken. So, it was big. I talked to a lot of guys, like, you know, Chaz said it was some of the roughest stuff he's ever had his boat in. The stories that I heard were crazy. And, I ended up not catching my 5th until like 1 o'clock. And so I was like, well, I don't have any time to go anywhere now. So I just stayed in there the rest of the day, called one more time, and got a baby check and a grinder. But really at that point, once I made that last call, I knew I had saved my season, like from a points perspective.
Was that the decision, you think? Is that the one that you're feeling like is the pivotal one of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even practice in there. My roommate had caught a few in there the night before, and I was like, he was going to start in there too. And I was like, well, I'm on nothing. Like, tell me, like, and we share a lot of info. And I was like, tell me where you're going to start, and I'll stay away from it. Do you care if I start right here? And he's like, no, you're good. And I just started going down the bank, and I fished in circles for 9 hours.
Which is, I mean, it's such a weird thing where culturally we don't like that as much. There's a bad connotation with staying close, fishing in circles. And then you look at the Japanese guys and how well they did the Sabine, where they're like, fine, we'll just fish next to the boat ramp, you know, hypothetically, and we don't care about retreads. It's such an interesting cultural perspective there.
I just hate fishing in a crowd. And like, I like to move fast. Like, I'm typically working, like what I did, it was painful. Like, I went like 3 hours without a bite, and I like was so close to firing the motor a few times and just getting the hell out of there. But I don't know. It's been one of those years where I've been making good decisions. And so I kind of just kept trusting that I was going to get another keeper.
You mentioned that and if you guys don't know, Steve has 2 series for the Elite 70s. He's got a teams, and then he's got a solo, which is the Alpha series. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that for the team, not the best year. Couldn't be better. Could be worse.
Not much worse.
Not much worse. That's perfect. So the solo series, you're doing well.
Yeah.
Why? Why is it with nobody else in the boat you feel like could it be something like that? Because I've heard this before from some people that they fish better alone without anybody else in the boat.
I've never said that. Some people have said that to me. Like, do you think that you do? And I've never felt like I do. There's a few things, like the big one at Smith Mountain, I ended up catching it by backing way off and turning my scope on. I don't fish with scope on when I'm fishing shallow. I'm a huge fan of being super quiet. And so I turned it on and pointed it over just to see if she was even still there, because I hadn't seen her in a while with my eyes. And sure enough, I saw her sitting there, and I was like, and I actually had already caught the male, and I was like, I could see another male had pulled up with her, and I was like, wow. And I noticed when I would skip up under that cable, like these are the little details that I don't know if I'd have picked up on if there was somebody else in the boat talking, because like you're naturally going to be chatting, whatever, what we do that makes it so fun. That when I hit one rock, I could feel that it was one rock that was slightly bigger than the rest there, and it was on the same angle. That's when she would bite. And I didn't know if it was her or the male until she swam way off, and I actually saw her followed her with the scope. I was like, no, that's the big one. And that's the details that I don't know if I'd have picked up on with the team. But like Anna, I literally think that's just lack of experience scoping. My partner's a river rat. He's got a 10 boat. So he's not a scoper either. So we were kind of just trying to force things, and we didn't know to slow down a little bit or whatever maybe it took. Just inexperience. What was after that? Bugs. Bugs had just got crowded on us. There was a big tournament out of Nutbush. We were out of Okanichi. There was a high school tournament out of the Nutbush. It was like
crazy
400 boats out there that day. And we did okay. Like we never had a chance at a big one. We fished clean. I don't have any regrets there. The James, we just lost every big one that bit. We made good decisions. So everybody has lost fish, but I don't have any regrets there either.
Do you feel like the fish losses were a little on the high side than normal? Was it something with the gear, equipment, anything like that you can point a finger at?
I don't know. They were dumb. Like I dumped one. He lost one right beside the boat. He went to go boat flip it. He thought it was 1.5 pounds, and it was almost 3. And then I dumped one on a crankbait. It was 4 or 5. Just got 2 cranks into it and jump and spit it. My hooks were sharp. I honestly just think it's one of those deals where I probably had it in the side of the mouth or something, and it came off. I mean, that's part of crankbait fishing. And then he had one pinned against a dock, and the poles wouldn't come up and came off. Then there was something else. So yeah, then he lost one on crankbait. Same thing. Got 3 cranks, spoiled, and came off. And it's I don't really know. I don't think there was anything there, but maybe there was, and I just wasn't able to identify it.
And that's where I mean, you got to be able just to roll your eyes and be like, it is what it is. It sucks, but I'm just going to move on from that, because that shit happens to the best of them. And what are you going to do? Yep.
100%. And then we got Gaston coming up in 2 weeks. So we'll right the ship there. I'm confident. But
how are you keeping so cool with it, with the position that you're in the points?
Oh, because with the Alpha or the teams?
Both. I mean, you had, like you said, it was a bad event, but it seems like it doesn't really, it's
teams?
not. Yeah, it's not.
It doesn't matter for points. We're out of it. So just go out there and try and cash a check, right? We want to make as much money as possible. It's basically a jackpot trail at that point for us. We've already bombed our season, so just go try and make money now.
And you guys can't get kicked off the trail or whatever. I don't know how that works actually. I didn't know
no,
if
it's
the
an
Elite
invite trail. So
okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we're not going to get kicked off. We pay our money just like everybody else. We've been donators this year, but we're going to win some of that back at Gaston, I'm sure.
Guys, if you want to get your questions in here, please feel free. We got, I don't know who this is, BH1233.
Bo.
Let me see.
I'll let them see my forehead.
Got Brandon that says, great episode with Rob, by the way. Oh, you mean Rob? Yeah, Rob was.
You can catch him.
He was letting people know his feelings on life and stuff. So yeah. It was a very interesting episode for sure. He's a really, really cool dude. He was a really cool dude.
And he catches them.
Oh, he does, dude. He's a hell of a stick. Him and Todd, I didn't realize, it's so weird how you get these clumps of anglers, and him, Todd, and a couple others, Alt McCluskey, grew up on the res. And it's so weird how you see this in baseball where it's Mike Trout and 3 other professionals went to the same high school. And it's that's weird how that worked out. And it's oh yeah, these guys that became successful fishermen literally were all in the same little club at the exact same time. It's so weird how that works in a Cosmo sense.
Pushing themselves. I mean, that's part of the reason that I think I've gotten a lot better over the last like 5 or 6 years as I run around with a group of guys that are all really good, and we all are pushing each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that you fish competitive, highly competitive trails and hang out with good people, it's going to push you to get better.
Was there a moment during everything that you felt like you really improved in the past couple of years? Did you ever have that aha moment?
I don't know, like definitely I'd say I more or less like regained confidence like probably 4 or 5 years ago when Cooper and I, like, we sucked our first year out of college fishing the Elite 70, and then the second year we finally whacked a bag on the river, and like yeah, we're here to stay. Like, this ain't no joke. And then kind of caught him again, and then won the Potomac, and then, you know, kind of just things. I've won a couple, like a cat or some Tuesday nighters and a couple jackpots around that kind of just get the wheels going. You're like, all right, yeah, you don't suck.
Confidence is such a big thing in fishing. It really is. You have a better losing percentage than hitting a baseball. And when you get it shaken, it is such a hard thing. The yips are real. They are. And it's hard to get it back, dude. It really is. And it's interesting about like either, you know, going up too high of a level or just having a bad year or whatever. How did you right the ship?
I mean, I've never, the only like true slump I had was probably like when we first came out of college. Like we never got anything going in any tournaments. I've never been a super consistent angler though. Like, I've always had big pops, like high highs and low lows.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've just been focused on like being more consistent. And just now it's finally coming to fruition in the alphas. That's really it. I wouldn't say that I've like, you know, that there's been a light bulb moment or anything.
The alphas are really cool. And I really think that's a canary in the coal mine that, like, I think there's going to be more and more series like that that pop up where you have the ability just to go out there by yourself. It's just a neat format. It really is. It's
really fun too. Like, you're fishing for $11,000. Like, for everyday Joes like me, that is life-changing money. Like, that could pay off a lot of bills for me. And you know that somebody out of that field, when you're sitting there at the ramp, is going home 5 figures richer. And that's pretty cool to be able to do that 5 times in a year.
Besides getting the trophy, why would you fish a BFL? I mean, like, and it more of this is a metaphorical question, because it's like the money just, it really sucks. I mean, I remember when like that was the shit to do when you were younger. Like, everyone wanted to try to win a BFL, and now it's like, I don't know. It's like, eh.
The payouts are terrible. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I fished them last year and the year before. I enjoyed them the year before. The schedule was kind of fun. I had a guy I was running around with. Fished him again last year, and I had a horrible time. Like, I wasn't catching them, frankly. And then I'm sitting there going, holy shit, I just spent X amount on hotels and this and that. And I finally got a 12th place, and I made $220. Like, out of 100 dudes, like, that just doesn't add up. That, like, I got my entry fee back barely. And so you start looking at like Matt, he got a 5th at Smith Mountain at a tournament I was at, and his paycheck was like $700 for 5th in a BFL. I fished club tournaments around here that pay out better than that. So I kind of said, screw it, I'm going into the alphas. It's a lot more upfront. You got to put that $2,500 in entry fees down at the beginning of the year. You can't enter one and then pull out if you're not doing well. You're in. But it is so much more enjoyable. People act like idiots in BFLs too, make bad decisions. I enjoy the camaraderie that Steve's built a lot, and we're fishing for more money. So
that you can never complain with.
No.
We got Skeeto here. Skeeto says, great show going on as always. Keep it up. Thank you, boss. Let's see, I got that one. Brandon says, what have you learned from fishing out of a kayak? You have got to figure out an area that has a population that you can milk. You do not have a 250. You can't just haul ass around Lake Anna. You have to pick an area, and then you have to milk it. And it took me a while to understand that. I still had the boat mindset of like, I'm going to run a couple. I didn't really put that much thought necessarily into that starting spot, but it's so freaking crucial to find an area you can milk. And even though you get to fish in a crowd, you have to fish in a crowd more than in a kayak. You really learn the micro patterns in a creek. I fished sturgeon at a Lake Anna tournament this year, and I kept making passes through the area. I think it was sturgeon. I forget the creek, but you make passes through the area, and you find out that the fish would set up on certain areas, and then as the day progressed, they would slowly move. But there would still be hot areas in that creek. It wasn't just catch a fish and then that area is dead. They would fill back up, and I wouldn't have known that unless I started kayak fishing, where I had to keep fishing in a circle basically, which blew my mind. And it's like, I wonder if this is what the guys from Japan kind of figured out, is they can key in on those micro patterns during a day and then milk the shit out of it. I prefer to have a 250. It'd be fun to fish new water, but it makes you really good at picking things clean, I think. So Brand's a good question. Let's go over to Instagram. So we got any other questions here? Garrett,
have you been able to apply that to fishing out of a boat?
I did. I won an event last fall, the Butch Ward tournament up here on Big Slack, which is basically the Ohio River with smallmouth. And I kind of milked an area there. I kind of just went fishing. I did my big engine was having issues. I couldn't haul ass down to my third spot, which was good. So I decided, like, let's just trolling motor through here and start exploring. And I found an area that I would not have ever found. It was a little nothing, but I just started to scope up the middle of this slough because nobody fished it. I watched people always go back through there and no one fished. Like, you know what, let's just kind of peel into here. And then there was like 4 or 5 just stacked right there that ended up helping me win. And it was, again, I think the kayak thing of like, you scan an area and look like, why hasn't anyone been over to this bank in an hour? And that's really gotten into my head of always being aware of where people are and try to have a timestamp of that person's been there for an hour, them 30 minutes. This spot's been nothing for 2 hours. Let me just sneak over there and see what happens. And I think it's like deer hunting, honestly, sometimes, where, yeah, if everyone runs into the woods over here, you know, the bucks are going to kind of just push away. But
I've never thought about it that way, but very much could be.
Yeah, and I think it's situational at the lakes and stuff like that too, but it is a pattern I'm starting to see kind of form with the kayak. Is I think residential fish specifically, they probably get tuned into the boat pressure and stuff. But I don't know. Let me guys know what you think in the comment section about that, but that's my crazy ass hypothesis with it.
That's interesting.
Dude, there's so many fish in each creek. I remember Nolan Meyer told me about that when he got scope on his kayak. He's like, you would not believe if you just sit in a creek how many damn bass. There's not like 2 or 3 in each creek. There's a shit ton. And he's right.
No, it'll infuriate you to know how many looked at your bait and were like, nah.
Yeah. And when people say you could probably win out of almost every creek and every lake, in theory, probably there's enough weight. It's just whether you can get them to turn on or not. And we got Skeeto that says, yeah, that's about right there. And I think that's the hardest thing with the scope bite. I think we were talking about that earlier, is it's a percentage game. I know the McCluskeys of the world can literally talk to each damn fish they see on the screen and convince them to bite. But for us mortals, it's you gotta not, I think personally, get dialed in on one fish like you're bed fishing and just play the percentages. Just find a new one and keep tossing it in front of them. But that's just me.
No, I think you're right. I get too infatuated by one. It gets personal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is. Because you think just one more bait, one more cast, just to do something a little bit different. But dude, it's such a time waster. My God, you could bleed out a clock on a couple of fish. It's gnarly how easy that can happen. Very
similar to the good sight fishermen versus the guys that go out and try to do it and come back and say, I end up spending too much time on this one, or
we got where is it? We got DRJ24 on Instagram that says, why do you think John Cox has been able to have a successful career with the live scope field the way it is? I'll go first. Oh no, you want to go first? Go for it.
I mean, my thought is that like he's just that guy. Like he's top 2 or 3 shallow anglers in the world, maybe ever. He is not afraid to throw a spinning rod shallow. He keeps it super simple. Like if he would put his foot in the gas, which he doesn't, his boat would probably go 100 miles an hour because there's no tackle in it. And he is just very in tune with nature. And he knows that that is what he's good at. And he talks about it all the time where he's like, I'm afraid that if I pick up scope, I will be too obsessed with it to do what I am actually good at. And so he just focuses on what he's good at. And he's one of one though. Like that's not, I think in today's world of the national tour, if you're not going to be good, at least pretty good at scope, you better be one of the best at what you're going to go do.
He also has admitted that he plays the field, or so to speak, where he knows that for 6 weeks out of the year, the majority of fish do push shallow. Therefore, if he fishes 38 tours and he has a tournament every weekend in that 6-week time frame, he has a chance of doing well. And that's why I think you see him like, okay, this event's bass, this event's FLW, he's done well. It's like he just fishes so much that he'll eventually hit pay dirt fishing shallow.
Yeah,
which is not wrong. I mean, if you're really good at something, yeah. I mean, look at what Tyler Trent does at Bugs Island, for an example. Like, yeah, just play the slots like that. But again, you have to have the confidence to do that. And he keeps it simple like that, and it works, man. What does he have? A wacky rig and a swim jig, and that's about it? I mean,
supposedly he's throwing a Nessie around now too. But
oh wow,
I remember when he won that tournament on a crankbait, he literally got a box of them like a week before, and he was like, "Let me try this," and started catching them. Like, just he's that guy. I mean.
He also has a cool, I remember this from the Bassmaster magazines, where he has like 48 lithium batteries in his boat, or some ungodly number, to where he can just flip a switch and have fresh trolling motor batteries immediately, because he just hauls ass down the bank.
That's all sight fishing.
Brilliant.
You could never have enough battery sight fishing. Like, I've got 105 amp hours here, and I smoke them for practice every sight fishing tournament. I wish I had 250.
Dude, it's a great idea. Like, absolutely. It's such a little, like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Just to have a couple more batteries in your boat to be able to and that's something I'm learning more about Bugs Island when they do the wolf pack thing, and people keep talking about that. This happens on Hartwell and stuff. And you start putting the pieces together, like, oh, that's another reason why having batteries to where you can max out your trolling motor and haul ass to find the wolf packs. That's something that he does, or he went to the nth degree on, that not a lot of people did. And you start seeing the pieces formulate. Spawning, when they're wolf packing, he's dialed into those kind of key bites there.
Yeah.
Dude, you got a lot out of that question. Good job there on Instagram. Message me, bud. You'll win a gift card to Jake's Bait and Tackle as well. Do you have a technique? And this is what's interesting. Is like sometimes when people have these great years, Brandon one time was like the drop shot or whatever. Do you feel like it's just a smorgasbord of techniques, or is it just kind of a couple that you've taken to every single fishery and have made it work?
It's kind of been all over the place. Like, I've caught a key one flipping at every tournament, but my kickers come on something different at all three that I've done well at. So kind of been a smorgasbord, but definitely just, they're all power fishing, frankly. Except, well, the Chuan, I caught a handful on a drop shot. This one I weighed in like 5 bass on 4 different lures, I think, after I looked back at it. It was goofy, and no, they weren't similar.
Is that
I weighed in 1 on a popper, 1 on a wacky worm, 2 on a flipping bait, and 1 on a drop shot.
Were you expecting that, if you had to like be a betting man looking back, that it would just be a hodgepodge each event, or did you feel like there would be a through line?
I didn't know what to expect. I was honestly just had rods laying on the deck, and I'd be like, well, let me try this. Like, I'll be honest, like the drop shot I caught it on, it was on the dumbest bait I own. And I reached it. I just caught a short, and I reached in the box to go get another worm. And I was like, oh, let me try this. And I hooked it up, and I catch my 5th keeper. And I'm like, that's awesome. Flip in again, like 2 trees later, catch a 3-pounder. And I'm like, holy shit. And then I catch a bunch of shorts, and then I killed an 8-incher on a hook set.
Did you see that Jordan Lee thing of that one he caught in practice or during the tournament? I think it was.
This one, it was like right at the end of the day, and I was convinced that I was going to get a big bite flipping. And one swam off real slow with it, like a big one does. And I reeled down, and I jerked that thing. Oh, I gave it the beans, and it flew out, hit the windshield, and just died. I don't know if it was stunned or dead, but I like picked it up, and I could hold it in my palm. And I was like, and it was not moving. I just threw it in the lake, and it floated. And I was like, well, you're dead.
Slackline for the win, boy.
Yeah,
it's so crazy how the Chihuahua's gotten like, where Where do you rank the Chihuahua as your favorite place now? Is it getting more and more? Is it rising higher in your rankings?
The Chihuahua River itself, I don't like. But the rest of this, like the Sound in general, is one of my favorite places to fish. It just gets tough. Like only 35 out of 78 or 77 boats weighed in at the Elite 70 this weekend. Like it was terrible. And I mean, there were plenty of guys that came back with one or two at like noon or 1 o'clock and their boat was busted to shit and said, screw it, I'm putting it on the trailer. Like I was sitting there fishing by the ramp, so I was watching them do it. And it was, I don't know, it was interesting how tough it was. But it's a fun place. It's shallow water. When that frog bite is going, it is some of the best frog fishing I've ever seen in my life. It's such a fun place to fish.
I'm going to have to give that place a shot. I know I'm going to go down to Back Bay this year just to mess around and have fun. I keep hearing that frog bite can get legendary on the mats too. I want to do
the same system, so I would imagine so.
Yeah, it is. I mean, did anyone have success? I don't think so. Running to Back Bay? I don't think they did during the Elites.
Yeah, John Cruz caught a big one out of Back Bay.
Dang.
Yeah, the first day he ran up there and caught like a 7.5.
God bless that man for doing that. I would not run that far.
It's actually not that far from the tank. It's like probably 65 miles.
65 miles seems pretty far.
Not when there were guys going 90.
Jesus Christ.
I'm pretty sure Ike went like 100.
Oh my God. And then, yeah, this is how boat speed limits come into place, guys. Because if you nuke a toddler on a jet ski at 100 miles an hour in a Bass Cat, that'll be great for the brand.
Yeah. 100%.
We got Solly on Instagram says the Bass Cat's logo will be the Pink Mist Club. Good God.
He said it'll be what?
The Pink Mist Club. Because if you hit somebody at 100 miles an hour, you hit Jimmy at 100 miles an hour, that's all going to be left is pink mist.
That's brutal.
So you decided that you enjoyed fishing so much that you wanted to become a tournament director? Because,
I just enjoy pain is all that is. No, I mean, it's one of those things where I ran a few tournaments for JMU and we were doing like fundraiser tournaments and stuff in college, and I always enjoyed it. But really, this came about from just like all other bad ideas and good ideas do. Sitting around with a bunch of friends and you're like, wouldn't this be awesome? Wouldn't this be awesome? And you kind of talk about it, you think on it, and you keep thinking on it. And I eventually just got to the point where we were like, let's do it. Let's give it a shot. And so I kind of spearheaded it, put it out to the world, not really knowing. I had a plan on how we were going to do it, but not really knowing if it's going to be a success. I mean, honestly, it's this point, we still don't, right? We're going to make it the best thing we can. And I've got a vision for what it can be in the future. And, but I think it's going to be a really fun event. Like it's something that I was looking for. And so I just figured why not make it if it's something that I think would be awesome.
Why did you run tournaments at JMU? Out of curiosity, were you the president or?
I was. And then we did just fundraiser tournaments, 80-20 paybacks, just getting the brand awareness out too, that JMU's got a fishing team. They were really fun. Met a lot of good people that I'm still connected with today from it.
And then, your slogan with this thing, looking at the website, and then guys, right now on the live stream, if you go into the episode description, you can click on the link and go check out the tournament. 10K guaranteed. That's crazy. So
we're paying back 100% of the entry fees. So there is an entry fee. Obviously, when the vision came about, we were like, what if it's a no entry fee championship? Like we want to make that. So it's the Virginia Tournament of Champions. For those that don't know, I mean, I assume most people listening probably have not heard of it. If you do, you can follow us on Facebook. The website's linked below as well. But what it is at its core is it's a qualification event. So not just anybody can sign up, but if you win a tournament that is 40 boats or more in the state of Virginia, and it does have to be a boat tournament. So if you think that you want a tournament and you're not on the list that we have, send it to us, send it to our Facebook page. You can send it to me personally. We'll look it over, as I've got a group of people that are helping me with it. And it is a qualification invite tournament, but what it's supposed to be is a celebration of the champions throughout the year. So you should feel, if you qualify by winning a tournament or winning Angler of the Year, you should know that is awesome. And it's going to be a chance to gather the people who are the best that year together, and compete for big money.
So then again, just since we got a bunch more people that are popping on now, the live stream,
Yeah.
do you just go out there, you find people that won and you deliver them a letter with an owl, or like how the hell does it work?
So I've got the spreadsheet from Hell going, which has just about every tournament trail I can find that qualifies in the state of Virginia. And I have all of their schedules written out. And basically, like today, at some point, I'll go on and check back on the ones I don't already know from this weekend and fill it out. And then I'm reaching out to them any way I can, right? Facebook, phone, email from the tournament director, whatever's easiest, and letting them know that they've been qualified. Right now, registration's not open. So it's more of just a, hey, put this on your calendar. Registration's going to open soon, right? Like, so just put this on your calendar and that this is coming. And it's been pretty good so far. We've got a lot of people say that they're going to sign up when it comes time. So
that's freaking awesome, dude. That's fantastic. And then how are you picking the venue?
The venue, so we've got a list of, it's the typical big, I think it's big 5 or 6 in the state of Virginia: Potomac, Anna, James, Smith Mountain, Bugs, Gaston. Yeah. So you've got kind of the ones that have the facilities to do a big event that are common stops that anybody that qualifies has been to one of those. Like, if you haven't, sorry. And basically it's going to be a random draw. Once that tournament is drawn, that one will be removed from the bucket for the next year until we've gone through the list, and then it'll refill the bucket again. So hopefully, 6 years from now, we're refilling the bucket again.
Where are you hoping to see this thing in a couple of years?
I mean, I really think it would be awesome to have it as a true celebration event where we've got no entry fee. Maybe it's not, the payout should still be big, even with a no entry fee event. Like, that's what gets people out and makes people want to fish. But we're going to have a cup, the Commonwealth Cup is what we're going to call it, but basically a rotating trophy where, you win, you take it with you, but that comes back at the end of the year and goes to the next champion. Maybe you drink beers out of it or whatever, but it's going to be, I envision it as a true celebration event. So, like, this sounds crazy, but I see it, the Rivers and Roads last year had an expo that was kind of a lot of Hopewell local businesses. Well, I can kind of see that as being like a Virginia fishing type thing, like where you've got Mayor there with some boats, or Propeller Dynamics, who's going to come on as a big sponsor of ours, with one of their pretty bullets, or whoever it might be, right? That the vision comes in the future where we're truly gathering the fishing community together to celebrate the guys that not only win that tournament, but have qualified for it. But that's I'm a visionary when it comes to that. Like, I can see the what it can be, but you got to do the baby steps. You can't just dive in and say, we're going to do this crazy expo and everything. To me, it's let's have a successful Tournament of Champions first.
Something that I've been saying for a while now is I think you're going to get this decentralization of national tours, and it's going to go back to being regional. You're going to have more regional stuff. What Steve did, popping up the Alpha Series, the Cat Trail, like all these other things. And I think this is a great next step, because I think people are realizing it's like, dude, even in the National Kayaking Trail, people are like, yeah, the money's not there to drive to Arizona to Lake Havasu. It's like, it's just not worth it. And I think if you get more of this Texas vibe where you can basically live in Texas and make a living, and you get that in our Mid-Atlantic area, that's really good for the sport.
I mean, if you live in Central Virginia, I can think of off the top of my head, within 4 hours of you can compete for over $10,000 12 times this year, if not more. You got 5 alphas, tournament champions. There was some Angler Choice, I think, had some big money stuff. There was another tournament that I think it was like $8,000. So there's a lot of money out there. And I was just actually, before we went live, looking in North Carolina's got a trail called, I think, 5 Alive, that's giving out $10,000 next year with a no forward facing. Like, I hit the follow button. I'm probably not going to make it down there with the schedule that I have, but I want to see how it goes. Like, that's awesome. And so, there's a lot of money out there to be made. And the biggest thing with our tournament is going to be 100% payback. We're going to be funding that top dollar, and it's going to be at least 100%. The goal is obviously to be way more, right? But year one, I'm only promising 100%, so I don't overpromise. But I'm a very transparent person. Like, if anybody has any questions, call me, text me, email me, whatever it is, reach out, right? Because that's what I'm a very transparent person. We've got some great sponsors coming on. Like I mentioned, Propeller Dynamics, they're going to be a huge help this year for us. And that's going to be what they're going to support us to support the champions in the state of Virginia.
And this is what we got to do. I mean, we got to come together and really, really push these different organizations, what you're doing here, to kind of bring money back into our area, and to highlight that you, again, if you want to do fishing, I'm not against bass, but I'm just saying, like, this idea that you have to go to the opens to make it, you have to do the Toyota series to make it. No, like, do the baby steps, you know, get into Steve's organization, you know, get an invite to what Blake's doing. You know, if you hit those steps, then potentially you can move on. But again, it's just about balancing that checkbook, make money local, and then maybe someday you can go national. We got Timmy saying the same thing. Can't wait for this event. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think he won the Veterans Day tournament on Anna last year. So because that tournament is like 3 days before ours, we're going to go 1 year prior for qualifications for that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, nice.
He's been winning a lot on Anna, so I'm sure he'll double or triple qualify.
Yeah. Hey, Timmy, did you ever get your hummingbirds fixed, by the way? That's depressing.
You bust him up?
Yeah, the whole front face just kind of plopped off, and he's been waiting for Hummingbird to get back to him to fix it.
Good luck.
Which I will say, everyone is correct about PowerPole's service. I was pre-fishing an event in my boat, and all of a sudden, for some reason, like, my power poles weren't working. I looked back and I lost the spike on one of them. It just just went into the mud and it was gone. Called Power Pole up. They sent me 2 brand new ones for free shipping, everything. I was like, damn, okay. You're making it really hard.
I had never busted a spike on mine until I think last year, or year before. I broke one, then I broke another one this year at Bugs. Yeah, same thing. Started spinning, and I was like, why am I spinning? I'm in 4 feet of water. Like, you know, if you're deep or something, it's not holding good, you'll spin. But
yeah,
like, it didn't make any sense. And I looked back, and one pole was just like all the way down. I was like, bye-bye spike.
Oh, and they covered it for you?
Yeah, I mean, they have a lifetime guarantee on them. And they were back ordered, so I ended up having to, I got a guy from the Elite 70 to Ryan McCarthy. He gave me one for Smith Mountain. He had an extra one in his garage. And then PowerPole ended up, once they were not back ordered, sending me, I actually got him to send me one for each, just so I had an extra.
That's awesome. Yeah, guys, go get PowerPole. Like, they back their lifetime warranty. I know some companies out there say they have a lifetime warranty, but then they try to get you with the wording to screw you over. Timmy says, speaking of wording to screw you over, they finally asked me for the receipt for when I bought them and serial number, and it's been almost another week. No clue that they're held together by super glue and duct tape. My God, that sucks, dude. That really sucks. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Hummingbird. I
don't know, but I know that that's typical for corporations.
Yeah, it is. The Garmin I've heard good news about too. Like, they're.
I don't have any Garmins, so I have no idea.
What are you running?
I have Lowrances. I have 4 Lowrances and active target, but way more than I need. But I probably should just go down to like 2 graphs and get rid of the active target. I'd catch more fish, but
nah, don't say that. You just need to learn it. That's all.
That's right.
Right. I don't know. Like, you don't want to go that full Randy Blockett route and just start shitting on.
No, I'm not against scope at all. Like, I'm not against scope. Yeah. I hope everybody catches them with scope, and I hope that I can figure it out. I'm not really joking. I caught them way better without scope, but it's such a cool thing. Like, it is so fun, and scope will be allowed in the Tournament of Champions for those of you guys that are asking that. Even if you qualify in a no FFS tour, that's fine. I know there's a few of those floating around, but definitely going to allow scope for now. Obviously, who knows what 10 years from now looks like. We probably won't allow AI powered scope that tracks the fish, but that's not out there right now. So what we have today is definitely not easy, and it's going to be 100% legal, as it's legal in 99% of the trails that these guys are going to qualify through.
Why do you think you fish better this year without scope, out of curiosity?
I honestly think it's a schedule thing. Like, I don't think that you have to be really good at scope to catch them on the Chowan with it. Like, it's not the suspenders. Smith Mountain was bed fishing. There were scope fish to be caught, I'm sure, but not for me. When I saw them on the bed, that was what I was doing. And Bugs is Bugs. You can go catch them in the dirt pretty much year round there.
No, for sure. For sure. We got Timmy back here in the comments. If more people fish some of these tournaments, I would be qualified multiple times, but nobody comes out. Dude, you don't want to become the Tyler Trent of Lake Anna. That's not a good thing.
Because Lake Anna sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like, expand. Like, okay, win 20 tournaments instead of 30, and then fish the rest of the time somewhere else just to kind of round out your game is all.
That's right. No, I saw you went down to Bugs for the Cat Championship. That's a cool event.
I think you top 30, right, Timmy? I think it was a top 30 that you got, which is absolutely awesome. Sea bass.
I fished that last year. That's an awesome event. They give away a ton of money there, and they got a lot of boats, but it's a really fun event.
I really wish they'd figure out the marina deal like at Gaston so they could balance out events from Kerr.
I'm so excited to go to Gaston in 2 weeks. I love that place.
Dude, that place is really neat. I like the balance, like with the habitat there. You do have a shallow water bite with the lily pads, the reeds, and all that stuff. It's not, I mean, again, whatever with bugs, but the fact is, like, it's just a different way to fish, which is kind of refreshing.
Yep, and there's spots. Spots are fun and dumb.
Well, they're bigger. That's the biggest thing, right? Between that and bugs is like they're actually, you can count on them to be in your limit, and it actually.
I don't know. Somebody weighed in like a 5.5 pound spot at a BFL last year, I think. On bugs.
Yeah, I know. And I've heard that there's a 30-pound largemouth in bugs that was caught 20 years ago, whatever. Like, there are a couple of nice fish in bugs. I just don't think there's
I caught a 3.5 pound spot on bugs last fall. I mean, they're in there. And they're getting bigger and they're taking over.
Oh, yeah.
Spots will make bugs better, I think.
If the water cleans up, I think, yeah. I think the cleaner the water gets, the better the spot bite will get. Will it? Who knows with bugs. If they would, I keep saying this, if they would drop that bitch by about 30 feet for 5 years and let the brush and shit grow in there and then flood it again, that would be the best lake in the area, period.
Let all the grass come in.
Dude, It just needs to have, it's almost like what happened at Lake Cumberland when they fixed the dam and then all the brush just grew out there for 10 years and they flooded it and then it was like lights out. Like they just need to do something like that for a couple of these lakes and it would help out like a lot.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Curry spots made me glad I didn't have a live camera. Yeah, well, that's true.
I'll tell you what, they eat good.
They do eat good. They do eat good. That is true.
You're supposed to keep them all according to the government, so I keep a bunch of them.
Especially those little ones.
Yeah.
Blake,
they got to be worth the fillet, though. It's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work for that. Blake, what do you got coming up?
I mean, really right now, I got to get some things really locked in for Tournament Champions, get the registration open for those of you guys that have qualified. If you haven't heard from me, you'll hear from me here shortly. I think I'm a week behind on actually reaching out to people. Sorry, my full-time gig has gotten in the way of that a little bit, but I've definitely got your names written down and at least ready to reach out to you. So that's on the docket for this week, getting all that ready. I expect to have registration open for the Tournament Champions by middle of June. And basically it'll stay open up until a week before the event. And then it'll close down. So that'll be pretty interesting stuff there. And then, of course, outside of that, fishing wise, I got Gaston in 2 weeks in the team series. And then the last points event for the alphas in the Potomac. So I got to catch Pal Kemp, which is going to be difficult, but he's only got 10 points on me and I like the Potomac. So
that's going to be an exciting showdown coming up with you guys.
There's 5 of us that can win the points. I did the math today. And they're all good. I mean, you got Pal's leading it. I'm right behind. I'm 10 behind him. So I got to check and lost ground on points this week, which is awesome because he went first, second at Smith Mountain, the Chuan. And then I think Pritchett is like a couple points behind me. I'm going to leave guys out, but Garrett Gouge, who just won at the Chuan, is right behind me. And if I mispronounce your name, Garrett, I'm sorry. There's somebody else that I remember looking at and being like, damn, I'm surrounded. Like one of us is you got a top 5 it, probably top 3 it to win the points, I think, because everybody else somebody in that 5 is going to sack them. So it'll be fun. Like I haven't been in this position before, so I'm excited.
Don't let it get to your head. Just keep doing what you're doing, and I think things are going to turn out well. We got a couple last-minute questions here. Timmy says, when does the location get selected for the Tournament of Champions?
Yep. So we'll pull the location. That won't be announced right when we pull it because we got to get the actual ramp passes, and there's a lot of back-end work that goes into that, especially if somewhere like Bugs where there are not private ramps. Let's say Bugs gets pulled or Gaston has some private ramps. Private ramps are a little easier because you can basically just call the owner and book it. But you know, the places like Bugs and the Potomac, I guess you could go out of Aquia technically on the Potomac. The parking there couldn't handle it. You have to get permits and things like that. So we're hoping into the summer, early fall to get it announced, you know, that August, September, like fully out there, final details, hours, all that stuff. Yeah. And we will have an incentive. Can't announce that until we open up registration, but we will have an incentive for those that register before the location's announced as well.
There you have it, guys. Go check that out. And then Chad has Texas has a shared lunker program. Why does Sabine suck so bad?
Because they're not going to stock that place because it gets flooded by a hurricane every month.
Yeah, that's a waste of money, dude. Like, and that's and the department kind of hinted at that too about like stocking the James, like how much the bang for the buck and all that stuff. Like, I mean, Texas does have a finite amount of money. It's not unlimited. So
yeah, but even the James is way more stable than what the Sabine has. Like, I've never heard of saltwater in Richmond, and the Sabine gets completely salted out every few years, and it just kills everything. It also doesn't suck as bad as they make it look. They're not allowed to fish on the Louisiana side, which is where all the good habitat is, because Louisiana's laws are terrible. So the bass got tired of fighting the laws, and they just said, screw it, you're not allowed to fish in Louisiana. The good fishing's in Louisiana down there. Like, if you look at local results down there, it's not like it's taking 30 to win, but there are 20-pound bags caught on the Sabine.
So there you go, Chad. All the Texas shared fish would just swim over to Louisiana, and it would still suck. So it wouldn't matter.
They got a hell of a boat ramp there.
Wait, like sarcastically or like legitimately?
No, it's awesome. Like,
okay.
The ability they have in Orange is awesome.
That's so weird. It's like getting a tit job when you're 80 years old. Like, what's the point? All right. Anyway.
It's fun.
Okay. Fair enough. I can't top that. That's going to be the last thing to be clipped. Guys, go check out Blake. Go check out the Tournament of Champions and then a couple more big events. Let's see if he can finish it up with AOY. I know this is a double dip Monday. It's very unusual, so sorry about that. But we'll be back around 7:15, 7 o'clock with Ethan with Monday Night Live. And yeah, guys, we'll see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.